Hello. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing okay. Doing pretty good. It's January 3rd, 2022. My name is David L. Mitchell. I'm a motivational speaker, author, and a owner of a brand called PrepGears.com, a very unique, original, and just amazing apparel brand that offers great apparel and accessories. It's called PrepGears.com. That's PrepGears.com. I would like for you to tune in for a while. We'll talk about a serious issue. Uh, Please like, share, subscribe, comment. I'd like to hear your feedback. Hopefully, and let it be respectful and something positive and upbuilding for the rest of the people. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. You're great. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to check out this video, and I really like to thank you for that. Today, I'm talking about Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was at this point, but hopefully things can work out. But let's just say for now, Antonio Brown is an NFL wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is, I believe, third team he was on. He's been in the league for a while. Great potential Hall of Fame NFL player. Just totally dynamic talents and skill on the field. Just a superly great athlete. Antonio Brown. Well, that's the good things about Antonio Brown. Unfortunately, there's some kinds of not so good things about Antonio Brown. But I'd like to say I wish Antonio Brown all the best, health-wise, and continued success in life, whether he remains in the NFL, and that's questionable, but we'll see. Reason why it's questionable because yesterday he just took his uniform off, and just ran into the end zone. I believe it was the third quarter. Just start doing jumping jacks and throwing some of his uniform into the stands. Just a really off the wall, weird antics that he displayed last Sunday. And this is not to disparage Mr. Brown. This is to hopefully encourage and help him as well as many others. And it was just so bizarre. And he has been doing some bizarre things over his time in the NFL. Antonio Brown, again, we all were in good faith, like to wish this young gentleman well going on for the rest of his life. But the interesting thing about all this is that mental illness is such a big problem, a big issue in our society. Now, I'm not saying that he's mentally ill, but his antics display forms of some imbalance. Maybe he's experiencing some sort of depression. I can't make a diagnosis, and I won't because I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but his behaviors is totally off the wall, bizarre. And I really hope that he seeks some help to keep himself safe and others. It's obvious there's something going on there. It's quite obvious. And it looks, again, from all the behavior and his past doings, that there's some mental illness going on. Mental illness is so extremely common. It's in everyone's family. Maybe you are dealing with it. And I'm going to talk about mental illness and mental health. Mental illness is an imbalance in the brain. People dealing with or a source of issues. It could be even genetic. Be bipolar, psychotic, schizophrenic, manic depressive bipolar. And maybe he could be my bipolar, perhaps. It looks like he may be Antonio Brown, but I can't make a finite diagnosis, and I won't, again, as I mentioned. But just his behaviors, they seem to be out of whack, and he doesn't seem to be in control of himself. Now, it could be out of being macho, being selfish, being arrogant, that he displays these traits and behaviors. That could be it too. But for it to go on and him getting help and his own teammate, Tom Brady, doing all he can to help him out, as well as other players on other teams who spoke well on his behalf and wanted to see the best for this gentleman. It really looks like it's some mental illness going on. Possibly CTE. That's the brain damage, brain injury that occurs in football players and other athletes, specifically football players who suffer many concussions and they develop CTE, and it just develops into a very severe mental health issue, mental illness, where all types of, erratic and, just bizarre behavior that people would find themselves in who experience this. It's not very common, but it does happen. Maybe he could be suffering from this situation, which many people believe could be the case. Whether that's the case or not, and I love football, I love the NFL, I have my Chargers. I still call them San Diego Chargers, but they LA Chargers now. Hope they do well. I'm a huge fan of football. I play football myself. Even in the Little League, I played football. I wasn't going to play football in high school, but some things changed up and I wound up playing soccer. But a huge fan. No one's a bigger fan of football than I am. And I like to see all the players. It's very, very physical sport. Get the support because it does result in different type of negative things to these players when they suffer injuries, specifically concussions down the line and after their playing days. But mental illness is something that's been going on in our society for quite a long time. It's probably one of the greatest of taboos, especially so for health. It's the biggest health taboo. It's so much stigma around it, and that dates back to earlier times when people just didn't know anything at all about it. Science is still discovering things about mental health and mental health illness, and that's the reason why it's still a lot of stigma because it's so complex. It's something that's dealing with the brain, the mind, and many people don't understand it. Even science, again, are discovering new things and studying it. So many people are ignorant to it, not because they want to be ignorant, but some people just don't know, and they even fear mental illness, or even talking about mental illness, for that much, even mental health. And it's a difference. Mental illness is a disease. Mental health and good health is being proactive and having good mental health as well as overall health for your life and body. So it's a very touchy, very complicated and uncomfortable conversation to have, even to this day. But many people experience it, experiencing it now or they will in the future. How can you not be depressed with so much going on in our society? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that someone's clinically depressed, but being depressed and being down is natural. You're going to have bouts of that. But when it's taking over your life, it can cause you harm or worse, and that to others, that's when it has to be seriously addressed. And listen, this is a disease of the brain, mental illness. The brain is the most powerful organ. It's the greatest computer on the planet. Think of it that way. but sometimes it malfunctions or sometimes it's not balanced, and it needs to be healthy. It needs to be addressed. It's an organ like we have in our body, heart, lungs, kidneys, liver. When people suffer diseases of the kidneys, the liver, heart disease, that's understandable. We know about that. We can talk about that. But the brain or the mind, we don't talk about that because of all of the fallacies and the misconceptions and all of the uh, just totally off the wall theories and ideals about mental health and mental illness just really drives people away from it. And it creates this stigma that people joke about. They have been joking about it for over the decades. But now people, this is a positive. They're getting a little bit more understanding about it through different ones bringing awareness from the scientists, from people who unfortunately experience mental illness, dealing with it, suffering from it, or just like our athletes talking about it more. There's a whole lot of shame that people have talking about it, especially these big, macho, strong athletes, these NFL players. It's really hard for them to admit they have a problem, especially something mental, because they perceive to be these super strong, and they are. Uh, can do anything and do everything. Nothing can get them down type people. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, they're still human beings. They're still imperfect. But it's just this ideal that they're big and strong, and admitting that they have some sort of issue like that, it makes them seem weak. Just seem totally out there, weird. And there's so much shame and so much feelings of weakness and vulnerability when talking about this, that people shy away from it or just let their mental illness go untreated and try to fight it off themselves. And that's quite dangerous. And that's the situation that could be with Mr. Brown, Antonio Brown. Again, I hope that he gets the help that he needs, just like others. Not just because he's a great NFL player, but every single person out there, whether you're a common everyday butcher, baker, candlestick maker, I got mad love for you. Whatever you do or trying to do is all important, and it doesn't devalue you from anyone else. It doesn't devalue you from anyone else in society. Whether you're picking up garbage or you're doing brain surgery, you're still a human being, you still have value. Both deserve to be treated with respect and dignity.
I'm gonna take a little walk, bud.
So I have someone come in and you can come back. Yeah. That's one of my associates. And excuse me for the interruption. Um, but again, going back to the Antonio Brown situation and mental health uh, awareness, it's nothing to be shamed about. It's nothing to frown upon. We need to take this scourge and stigma around mental health and mental illness and crush it. You know what I mean? Because this is something, that happens. We don't make fun of people who have heart disease. We don't put stigma on people who have kidney disease or what have you. No, we don't do that. We try to help them. We say, okay, they got that disease. We can, deal with that. Or something physical, because you can't see mental illness. You just can see the erratic behavior. But you can see someone with a broken arm or walking around with oxygen or a pacemaker, whatever medical supplies they need to survive. No, you can't see mental illness. So that's another thing that people feel as though that they want to stay away from talking about or dealing with. Understand all the different stigmas around it and the taboo uh, of it, things of it. It's a touchy situation, but it has to be crushed because lives depend on it, and we could do it as a society. So if you are dealing or suffering from mental illness, or you are find yourself in a mentally challenging situation, don't feel bad. Ask for help. It's the strong people, the strong and mighty people, regardless of what they're dealing with. It's the strong and mighty people who can admit that they have an issue and they want to address it and get the help for it. That's the real flex. That's the real flex. Not catching 6 touchdowns in a game, not throwing for 7 touchdowns in a game, or wearing all the fancy jewelry, driving the fanciest cars, living in the fanciest mansions, and flexing like that. No, the real flex is saying that I have an issue specifically with my health, i.e., mental health, and addressing it and trying to do something about it. That's the biggest flex. And that's what should be celebrated. That's what should be appreciated in people. That should be put on the pedestal like a trophy, like the Lombardi trophy, because it takes real strength, real courage, real tenacity to be honest about that. So let's celebrate it, that, and look at it from that perspective. Let's take it from that perspective and stop seeing people as weak. What's weak is saying, I can handle everything and I'm fine. No, you can't handle everything. No human being can handle every single thing. I don't care who you are. I don't care how great someone said you are, or how great of accomplishments or achievements that you have have done, or your level of success. You could be the president, you could be a billionaire, all those things, but you can't handle every single thing, because even people who are the most successful in life deal with mental health issues. Even just to think about the stress of dealing with all that success. Now I think about Simone Biles, the great U.S. Olympic gold medalist, Simone Biles, all her great achievements. But during the Olympics, she took some time off to try to calm herself down, to get her mental focus back. She was addressing her mental, and that should be appreciated just as much as her gold medals, or maybe even more so, because this is a real life situation, a real life thing. So let's try to develop that mindset, that perspective about mental illness and mental health. The goal is to have great mental health. That's what the goal is. And the overall goal to having great health and great mental health is doing all we can to address it, see it as a real thing that affects real people, and move on with it. Again, sorry for the interruption. I was someone coming in and wanted to ask me something. Uh, but again, mental health and mental illness. Hey, let's try to be mentally sound as possible and healthy. And if one's have mental illness, you can do it. You can be strong. You can overcome this with help. And there are plenty of people, a number of people out there who will help and encourage you and have your best interests at heart. Like I have hope the best for Mr. Antonio Brown. So again, it's possible, but I don't believe it's so that it could just him being selfish in his antics. Yesterday, Sunday, January 2nd, the football game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers and just want to put on a show, an act. Could be that. But his history is leaning much, much more towards his behavior, towards a mental health issue. Yes. We can tackle this, to use a football terminology. Let's tackle this. Let's tackle the stigma. Yes, let's tackle the stigma and the taboo surrounding mental illness and talk more about mental health, which is so vitally important. Because without that, you cannot be a well-rounded person. You cannot truly be a successful person. At least at your best. Yes, it's difficult to talk about. It's not easy. That's why I'm making this video, because if you need to have the encouragement, the spark, check out this video to motivate you, encourage you to consider learning more about mental illness and mental health, which is a whole lot to be learned about. Just learning more about it, reading an article from the medical associations, taking time to talk with ones, but most of all, listen to what's on people's minds, the anxieties, the fears. And you do the same. Speak your mind about your anxieties and your fears. This all is under the umbrella of mental health. And we need to do these things, all of us, each one of us, each 8 billion people in the world. And stop saying, oh, that person is crazy. Something's wrong with them. They're weird. They're bad. They're nothing. They're trash. They're weak. They're weak. They're weak. No, they're not weak. These are things that happen to all people, or to most people. Now, everybody's going to have some sort of medical issue in life at some point, because we're imperfect bodies. And mental illness could be one of them. So the more conversation, the more understanding, the more knowledge, credible and reputable knowledge around this issue that we all receive and take in. And hopefully this video is a part of that from a layman situation. The better we are as a society, the more healthy we are as a society in general. That's all of us, regardless if you're a football player or not. If you're just a regular person doing the best you can, and I salute you. It's all of us. All of us are in this together. Really, no one's an island, so to speak. So again, I want to touch on this matter, and I'll speak more about it. It's important, and I want to learn about it more and read more about it and hear what's on people's minds about it, instead of just pushing it under a rug and thinking that it'll just go away and that, only those weak weirdos experience mental health issues. No, it's many people who are dealing with it and experience it. People that you know, that you think are pretty much perfect. No, they could be the very ones. And they are. So, again, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Throw that in the trash. Put that in the toilet and flush it. All the stigma and all, the negative, toxic terminology, ideals, and thoughts that go around it. No. And if you see someone who saying no, that's nothing, mental illness, that's just an excuse that people make. No. Maybe you, out of respect, you can correct them and say, no, it's a real issue that affects people. All of us deal with issues in life, and that's one particular thing. So applaud people who do want to talk about it in good faith, or they want to ask questions, or they're done with it. again, I salute ones that are on the path of being the best version of themselves, the most healthy of themselves. I'm on day 3 of my water fast too, by the way. Coming along. So, yes, let's look at mental health, mental illness as something that is not something to be ashamed of or something to fear or something that is just totally, wrong. No, it's something that happens. So please take this in consideration. Like, most of all, share this information and subscribe so I can continue to share thoughts of encouragement, motivation, and upliftment for you, and you. Yes. So thanks again. I want to touch on this very timely, and I say timely because many people are dealing with so much anxiety and stress and depression from all the things that are going on with the pandemic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all that, again, you're the best. Continue to be the best. Be the best version of yourself. From the mind to the body. The mind to the body, because it's all connected. And the body needs the mind needs the body. So let's try to do what we can to take care of both of them. At least consider it to the best of our abilities. Yes. So hope everyone has a good day. And thanks for watching. Dave, your friend, motivator, coach. Salute. Have a great day. And again, sorry for the interruption. Everything's fine. With that, take care. Peace.